Hello, BookTube. That was indeed the mail. There are indeed more boxes. Good Lord. Oh, this is like 100 books in the course of 24 hours on this channel. And I know I said that I was going to just set it aside and leave it till tomorrow, but that doesn't seem very nice, does it? If you were here, I always think of you as here when I'm talking to you on this camera. If you were here, you'd want to open these things right away, and so do I. So let's just go through them. Let's just open them now and get it over with. There's not many, and there is a big box at the end, so we'll just carry on. That's what we'll do. Oh my! Oh, what is this? Oh my! Okay. All right. Well, I don't need all that. I don't need your mother's bouillabaisse recipe. I don't need that. Wow, this is another book about Jane Austen. This is like 5 that I've got so far. This is by Rachel Cohen, and it is called Austen Years, a memoir in 5 novels. This comes out in mid-May. During the period when Rachel Cohen's father, with whom she was very close, was dying and her children were born, Jane Austen became Cohen's lifeline and the only author she read. She writes about this period in her new book. Whether it was reading great swaths of Pride and Prejudice or Emma or memorizing particular lines, Cohen discovered a rare literary communion with Austen. Certainly not the only author to feel that way. I wonder how many of you have just gone through periods where nothing would work except Jane Austen's novels. As she made her way through her novels, she found that Austen had a great deal to tell her about love, grief, joy, and family life. Austen Years, this book, brings together memoir, criticism, and biography, offering lyrical and philosophical reflections that readers of Cohen's first book, A Chance Meeting, will find familiar. Okay, I am absolutely on board. I didn't hear a single sentence in that I didn't love. Okay, this is one author's extremely personal encounter over a long period of time with one other author. I love books like that. If they're done well, I love them. So that's fantastic. Great. And this next one is one of these cardboard packages, and it feels very light. It could be a mass market romance novel. Today has been incredibly wet and gray and filthy, so I could use a romance novel very much so. Unfortunately, before we get to it, you have to listen to me rant about these packages, why you can't just put one of these things in a simple manila envelope, I have no idea, or even a padded manila envelope. I can afford them, and St. Martin's can afford them. Instead, you put these things, which are not only cardboard, but adhesive cardboard, so that you're sticking to everything. But some of you are probably saying, you really shouldn't be complaining getting free romance novels in the mail and the rest of us have to go to the store and buy them. All right, point taken. Oh my. Oh my. All right. Some of you, not enough of you, but some of you will be familiar with Sarah, my sister from another mister, my romance spirit animal. Sarah at Steeped in Books has a fantastic romance channel, just fantastic. And this is... slowly but surely, as I've been watching her channel, I have been warming to the idea not of keeping gigantic and obviously homicidal cats as pets. I'm not going to warm to that idea anytime soon. But to the idea of contemporary romances. Obviously, if you've been watching this channel, you know that my predilection is for historical romances. But slowly, watching Sarah and listening to her talk about contemporary... She's good on all romances, but she's best on contemporary romances. I have been slowly warming to the idea of contemporary romances. And this comes out on February 25th, right at the end of the month, and seems like a mixture of the two. We have seen this already. Sometimes I am lucky enough to get a trade paperback reading copy, an advanced reader's copy, a review copy, of a book that is, in fact, coming out in mass market. And this is the mass market finished copy of Highlander in a Pickup by Laura Trentham, set in Highland, Georgia. Let's see here. I think we've already seen this, but in the meantime I dipped into it just a bit, but I will read it now in a mass market. Ian Connors is the poster boy for the strong and silent type, growing up a loner in Cairndown Castle in Scotland with only the cliffs and moors for company. It's understood Ian will assume the mantle of Cairndown groundskeeper when his father is ready to relinquish it. But his stint in Her Majesty's Armed Forces has opened a whole new world, and now, rather than settle down, he accepts an invitation to travel to the States and take charge of the Highland Games in Highland, Georgia. After all, he's led men into battle. How hard can planning a party be? Anna Maitland is ready to step up for her best friend Isabel Blackmore, who can't run the games in their hometown this year. Surely Anna, a dance instructor with boundless energy, spirit, and charm, is up for the challenge. What she doesn't anticipate is a man in a kilt who turns up claiming he's the one in charge. And the beginning of the novel, almost the opening scene, features the meeting between the two, and it's very funny. it's a little bit predictable, but it's very, very funny. So all right, there we go. A whole book on Jane Austen and a romance novel in a nice, colorful mass market. Look at that. He's wearing tartan. That's not a kilt, but we don't get to see that in the novel. So let's move on here. What is this next one? What is this? What do we have here? Okay, this is a finished copy. Comes out in early March. This is Our Revolution by Honor More. Subtitle is A Mother and Daughter at Mid-Century. Our Revolution. The author, Honor More, is described by the pub sheet as a critically acclaimed author and poet. And the book comes with, or the blurbs at the beginning of the book come from Sigrid Nunez, Daphne Merkin, and Brenda Wineapple, among others. That's Brenda Wineapple's not. That's pretty good. Let's see here. So what have we got here? This is a powerful new memoir focused on that most complex of relationships between a daughter and her mother. In a work that sets the intimacy of a family within the tumultuous 20th century years of change, Moore discovers the life of Jenny Moore, who was not only the vivacious mother she knew, but a woman of integrity and daring, who took on the contradictions of a difficult marriage, motherhood of 9 children, the moral challenge of social injustice, and the call of a new feminist movement. Quote, I was almost always we, she wrote, on the brink of change, and now I'm I. Born into Boston society, Jenny McKean Moore, the daughter of a gifted and tormented artist and a doting businessman father, grew up winning blue ribbons at horse shows and writing poems and stories. Against family tradition, she went to college, graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Barnard, turning from writing fiction to exchanging letters with Paul Moore, a handsome war hero whom she married at the end of World War II. So this is going to be, in large part, oh good lord, okay, the pub sheet goes on for 2,000 more words, which I will not do. So this is going to be, in large part, the daughter's memoir of her mother. I wonder how much of this will be. That would be fascinating. To go back and reconstruct a parent's life is fascinating. I'm not 100% sure that I agree with, what did the pub sheet say? The most complex of relationships. I'm not 100% sure that I agree with that, but then again, I wouldn't, would I? Certainly one of the most complex. That I would agree with. I think that the mother-daughter relationship, in most cases, is not anywhere near as complex as the relationship between a father and a teenage boy, a teenage son. That has all sorts of factors coming into play that don't exist, as far as I can see, don't exist in the mother-daughter relationship. That very few mothers outside of Tennessee Williams Plays, very few mothers want to destroy their daughters, and very few mothers ever feel like they're competing with their mothers, with their daughters, do they? Whereas I hardly known a father of a teenage boy who didn't feel some urge to do that, some urge to crush, some especially an instinctive urge to compete. I don't know. Maybe I'm selling it short. Maybe this book will teach me. I'll certainly read it when the time comes. And then we have the box, and then we'll be done. I hope we'll be done with new books for today, because that's just insane. It's just insane for there to be this many. I will take all of the morning tomorrow to just completely come to terms with all the new releases in this place. I will set aside all of that time and just do that. Oh wow, oh boy, okay, this is also a March release. This is a finished copy of Samuel Zipp's new biography of Wendell Willkie. It's called The Idealist. It's more pointed than the full biography of Wendell Willkie that came out last year, because the subtitle says Wendell Willkie's wartime quest to build one world, but it will end up being a biography, certainly be a biographical study. This comes out from Harvard University Press. on the 10th of March. A dramatic account of the plane journey undertaken by businessman turned maverick internationalist Wendell Willkie to rally U.S. allies to the war effort. Willkie's tour of a planet shrunk by aviation, that's nicely put, and war inspired him to challenge Americans to fight a rising tide of nationalism at home. The Republican Party's decision in 1939 to tap a charismatic energy executive with no formal experience of politics was unexpected. Most of the party leadership had hoped to challenge President Roosevelt with a more conventional candidate, but Wendell Willkie had a gift for communicating and connecting with people. His folksy manner went over well in the new medium of the radio, which allowed him to speak directly to people in their homes. Willkie's upbeat message and charisma weren't enough to defeat Roosevelt. He lost by 5 million votes. But they did turn him into a celebrity. After the election, he offered his services to the president and became a one-man diplomatic machine to carry the personal messages from Roosevelt to Churchill in London. He was eager to help sell his countrymen on the deeper meaning of the war and possibilities it offers for a different kind of role in America on the world stage. Okay. All right, fantastic. So this may be more pointed than I thought. This may not be a general biographical study at all, but you can't, the author, let's find out, who is the author? Samuel Zipp is a cultural and intellectual historian at Brown University. He's written for the New York Times, the Washington Post, N+1, the Baffler, and the Nation, and is the author of Manhattan Projects, the Rise and Fall of Urban Renewal in Cold War New York City. And he co-wrote and he co-edited a collection of writings on Jane Jacobs. I think that is how I know him. I think I got that volume. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I mean, he was going to have to do some biographical backfilling. We're going to have to know. It would be irresponsible to write a book like this and not backfill Wendell Willkie's story. But it looks like it won't be predominant. It looks like this is more a biographical study than a biography. Fine by me. Fine by me. So there you go. That was the mail addendum. I'm very encouraged by the fact that while we've been talking about these books, the doorbell has not rung again. It could, but I'm hoping it doesn't. So we have The Idealist. That's a finished copy about Wendell Willkie. We have Our Revolution by Honor Moore. Looks like a biographical reconstruction of her mother's life and times. We have Austen Years by Rachel Cohen. This is a study of Jane Austen's novels, an enthusiastic fangirl. Fan appreciation of Austen's novels, and also a memoir of how those novels and reading those novels helped at a time when nothing else would. Lots of people have had a time in their life where there was a book or an author who did that. It wasn't always Jane Austen, but I've read a lot of memoirs of people where it was Jane Austen. For me, it's not Jane Austen, but she comes close. And then the mass market paperback, this is the thing that's going to be in your bookstores, might be there already, of Laura Trentham's A Highlander in a Pickup. That is what the finished copy is going to look like. So there you go. That is yet more new books, but hopefully that's the end of it. So we have lots of other stuff to talk about. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.